Good evening and welcome to a very reflective Fun Fans podcast this evening. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
Hello, James. It is a sad weekend, but we're going to make it through it, and the best is yet to come.
The best is yet to come. If you're watching live, you can see that we're reflecting with a picture of the reflection pond that was filled up for the first time in, I guess, a while this week on campus. And it was Parents Weekend this weekend.
Yeah, you need to check out the Tiger and the Tiger Cubs Instagram account to see the Cubby wanted to go swimming in the reflection pond.
The big brother Tiger had to let him know that is against the rules.
Correct.
We all know we have more weather delays than winds, but you're going to hear a little bit about all that and a little bit about how we continue to move around Lot 10 in our show this evening. So let's network if you're a true sports fan. Greenville Sports Media is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts, the latest articles, and other sports media at greenvillesportsmedia.com, who can also be found on all forms of social media, just like the Fun Fans. The Fun Fans podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
Yeah, and don't forget, if you're going to the game or you're one of the ones that say they're never coming back, you can still go to Reuben's Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering. The best wings around with 2 locations in the great upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. You can find them at RubensC.com. Rubens is a great place to eat, no matter who you pull for or who you used to pull for.
That is correct. Don't hold any wins or losses against Rubens. It's That's definitely right. a great place to go if you're giving up on Clemson. But don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. It's all about. I made a comment on a TikTok today. Some of the students now, maybe recent graduates, are learning what we learned, Bailey, that Clemson is more than football. It's family.
That's right.
And sometimes your family, you go through the good times and the bad. Excuse me. So, but we are going to start out talking about, we had a very interesting tailgate. So if you've been listening, obviously the main purpose of our show is about the fun we have. And during the football season, it's about mostly the tailgating that we do. So, and this year we're bumped into Lot 10 and we did something very different. We've never done this before. Our normal, for how long, Bailey? 6, 7, 8 years has been, and we've been going to Clemson games way longer than that, but I'm talking about since Bailey and I have been tailgating.
Yeah.
We're 4 hours before kickoff kind of guys, right?
Right.
But this time we're like, look, that's early. These 12 o'clock kickoffs, and our kids have been over there changing some stuff. We can stay after and hang out with our kids, and that's a good time. After the game, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock into the evening, it'll be great. We don't need to worry about getting there so early. So the first thing I want to point out and folks can feel free to comment or sometimes I think our show is really for those Clemson folks that live way out of town, so they can tailgate vicariously on campus through us. But we were worried about the traffic. We rolled in about 10:30 into town, into Clemson.
Mm-hmm.
And Bailey, was there any traffic really?
Not really. It's been a weird traffic season.
It has. So we've noticed in Lot 10, right by Perimeter Road, there's hardly been any traffic. You don't see it. You don't see a line of cars backing up or anything like that. The 7:30 kickoff, well, maybe they're all spread out. The 3:30 kickoff was the same thing.
Right.
And then this past Saturday, we ran into some traffic, probably not even a mile from campus. But then it's like once the red light turned green, it went through and we got on Perimeter Road and it wasn't even an issue. And it wasn't because people were not showing up. So I have a picture here. So this is my daughter and her boyfriend. And you can see the stadium's pretty full.
Right.
So we get in there and I'm thinking, well, maybe there's not that many people here, but stadium's pretty full. I'm not going to try to figure out what it is, but I'm not going to complain. That's for sure. It may have something to do with how the traffic shifted with the construction. The parking, I mean, shifted. I think a lot more people may be on the other side of campus or something. Who knows?
Right.
Definitely not going to complain. But you know what? We got there in time for the parade. So Bailey and Jay's daughter was a cheerleader, and she didn't even know there was a parade. But we have
she did. She did, but she never told us about it.
Yeah, the daughter did, but I'm sorry. Bailey's wife, Jay, never knew that there was a parade. I knew there was a parade, but
that's because you were in the parade.
Yeah, I participated for a couple of years, and you know, so there's that. But and it goes down the opposite side of the stadium for where we always are. Hang on, let me get my video clip here. But we actually got there in time for Bailey and Jada. It's a very short clip, but you know, if you didn't know, Tiger fans, the cheerleaders, the Tiger, the band,
Rally Cats,
they come straight down past the Dillard building towards the stadium, towards the east end zone, towards the hill, take a right.
Fort Hill Street.
Yep. Fort Hill. They take a right, go under the breezeway and take a left and go into the stadium. So that was pretty cool that they were able to see the parade. I didn't take a lot of pictures. We had a short pregame tailgate because we were parked had about an hour before we wanted to walk up to the stadium. But the biggest thing about Saturday was the heat.
It was hot.
September 20th, in upstate South Carolina.
It was as hot as I've been inside Death Valley since, I think, 2 years ago in the Charleston Southern game.
Man.
It was brutal that day. I remember just because we had family at the game and we were staying at a lake house and that kind of thing. But I just remember going, I can't sit in there anymore. It was great after the rain delay.
Yeah. Yeah. The first half though was pretty brutal. I mean, it was hot, and it was just a wrong time. You know, the sun, you're in the direct sun. If you were in the shade, you were lucky. Outside the stadium, there's more of a breeze, but there wasn't much of a breeze at all. So if you're in the stadium, there was literally no breeze. So I got to say, Jillian, the daughter I was sitting with, Jillian and I, we dipped towards the end of the first half, and we were going to go visit with Miss Derrick. Miss Derrick is famous for her cookies.
Man.
She makes the best chocolate chip cookies ever.
Did she have any those butterscotch chips?
She probably did, but I didn't ask her or any of those. She has some really good butterscotch cookies, but
those are outstanding.
They also, and I really regret, I don't know why I didn't take a picture, but
probably because your hands were too sweaty.
Yes, my hands were sweaty, full of chocolate chip cookies. They got bumped with their parking, and they have a sweet place. It really, if their tailgate is literally right across the street from Lot 5. So you look towards the stadium and you can see, you're looking straight at the Oculus.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was pretty cool. That's a pretty cool spot. So I appreciate the cookie, and it was good to see them. But then we had another weather. How long was the weather delay, Bailey?
It hit at a perfect time, halftime. And then I don't know, I think it was an hour and a half or hour and 45 minutes, something like that.
Yeah. It only delayed the game about an hour, maybe a little more, because it was right at halftime.
Yeah, but we seriously missed some really bad weather, by just a couple miles.
It was going to get bad, but tell the fans what we did with the tailgate.
Well, we had to move our tents under I know you're not supposed to go under trees when there's going to be a storm, but we were thinking about getting wet, securing our tents, and shelter, basically. So we moved them under a huge oak tree. We took up about 5 spaces in Lot 10 that had been vacated. We sat there. I think at one point Dorothy and Toto went by in the wind, leaves blowing everywhere, but we zip tied everything to the tent, so even including James in his chair, so we wouldn't blow away, and we made it.
Yeah. Tailgate tip. Got to have some zip ties with you at the tailgate.
Or just straps or bungee cords or something. I always go, when we go to the beach, I always take bungee cords because that's how I keep the tent. for
keep
blowing
it.
away.
You got to keep it down. So and this is a picture, and you can't really tell maybe too much in the background, but I mean, we have now been in lot 10 from the Porta Johns to the outskirts right at perimeter, and now deep in the heart, taking up 5 spaces that had been vacated. So we're all over some lot 10.
Yeah, I feel
this
like
year.
we've bounced around a little.
We did. All right. So then when we had to leave, we had like I say, we had the kids with us, and they live on campus. So we were just trying, once we were ready to go home, a couple of extra people with us, with the kids and Grayson's boyfriend. We were just trying to get Whit back to his dorm. So Bailey and Whit hopped in the back of the truck, and Grayson's boyfriend was driving. Bailey, tell us about that. Tell us about that experience.
I'm not 100% sure I want to relive it, but Caleb, if you're out there, buddy, when people are riding in the back of a truck, you need to be careful. You need to be careful when you take off, when you stop, when you go around turns, and because you almost lost me back there on Perimeter Road. And I got my son fussed at me for laying down on top of everything, but I was trying to, brace myself where I wouldn't just go rolling out of the back of the truck. So it was somewhat dangerous, but we didn't know we were going to have to travel that far either. Like, I don't know why you can't turn into a parking. There's nobody out there like this. People. We're talking about it's at least 6:30.
Yes. It was 2 hours.
Every bit of that.
Yeah.
And
the
highway patrolman still, cones are everywhere. You can't go in parking lots. And I'm like, Whit, I'm sorry, dude. We kept getting farther and farther and farther away, but we made it back closer to his dorm.
We finally got close, and that's we're going to express that as the dedication of our state troopers.
Yes.
To their job, even though it was extremely unnecessary at that particular time to continue to have certain roads going in a certain direction, but that will be marked up to the dedication to their service to keeping us safe. All right, and then here it is, to parent weekend, parents with their student picture. Melanie and I made it to the Delta Gamma Friday night, and it literally just hit me. Grayson said that's her initials backwards. Didn't put those 2 and 2 together. And then if you wondered who Whit is, that's him between Bailey and Jay.
Yeah,
there at the bottom. All right, so the proud parent. So we are very sure that we had a good parent weekend with our youngins, and we are 4 weeks into the football season now. And speaking of sure, and we're gonna have a little segment called Sure and Unsure. So teams that we are have some assurance about whether they're good or bad. We've talked so far all season about, it's only one game, it's only 2 games, you can't tell. We're 4 games in, so maybe you can tell a bit, but there might be some other teams that we're unsure about. So Bailey and I have a few teams that we're sure and unsure about. We'll bounce back and forth. I'm going to start. I am sure that Oklahoma is a good team. I think they have proven that on the field. They've played multiple Power 5 and conference, and they've got some really good wins under their belt. And being undefeated at this point. So I'm going to go with Oklahoma, being sure that Oklahoma they're going to be a contender in the SEC, I think, this year, and maybe playoff team. Who knows what happens when you get to that point?
I'm sure that Clemson is not very good. They're mediocre at best. Okay, next.
That was supposed to be the last team in segue into talking about the game, but no, we don't rehearse.
We'll come back to that.
In case you're wondering.
I'm also sure that North Carolina is not any good. I'm sure that Virginia Tech's not any good.
Yeah,
yeah. I got to give you somebody I think's really good. Ohio State, I think.
I'm pretty sure Ohio State. What about I'm still unsure about Alabama.
Yeah.
And here's why. They're one of their big win that kind of said that they were kind of back in it after getting beat by Florida State was over Wisconsin, and Wisconsin got handled yesterday by Maryland. So still kind of unsure about Bama.
Yeah, I mean, we're about a month in, and like Tom Brady said earlier on the NFL game, it takes about a month to know who's good and who's bad. And we're still trying to figure that out. But I just think there's so much. Teams change so much from year to year. It's hard unless, like, they shouldn't even do polls until about 5 weeks into the season.
This week really should be the first poll for real.
Right.
But, this media is trying to make some money, trying to get some clicks. I'm also, excuse me, I'm also unsure about Indiana. Now, they had a really big win over Illinois, but it's still hard to tell, where they are. I'm not saying they're bad, but still kind of unsure about Indiana. And I hate to say this it's mainly because of the Tigers, but kind of unsure about LSU, especially, them being deserving of being like a top five team. So anything else on the shore and unshore, Bailey?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure South Carolina's not very good either.
South Carolina's probably mid. I'm pretty sure Oklahoma State is in trouble. I'm fairly sure Oregon is pretty good. I think Oregon's good, but don't have a whole lot to base that on, to be honest
And
with
I'm
you.
fairly sure that somehow, some way, Notre Dame, after starting 0-2, will creep their way right back up into the conversation, because that's what the national media would love to see.
They almost have to. Last one before we talk about the Tigers a little more in depth. I'm not sold on Texas. I know they had another big win this week, but the only team they played, now granted it was Ohio State and they seemed to play okay, but they hadn't played anybody else and they're still not playing. I don't know. I'm not sold on Texas. Did you see Arch Manning taunt the guy after he runs into the end zone yesterday?
I did not, man. You know what I didn't want to do when I got home was watch football.
Yeah.
But you put in the script here, I think, didn't you put Sam Elliott? I think it was Sam Houston.
Houston.
Yeah. Sam Elliott was an actor.
That might have been a typo. That was an autocorrect.
Sam Houston is a Texas legend.
Yeah. To whoever it was, they were taunting
one of those named schools
over those guys. And see, Texas similar. So, all right, just Clemson. And I really do believe this. No joke. We really were. If I said this, and we said it last year, and it worked out fine. If they would play the way they played against LSU, we would have went undefeated the rest of the season. There were errors, there were mistakes, blah, blah, blah. But they got out there and played football. And it's almost like they've allowed, that one loss turned into two. It turned into the second one was at Georgia Tech, and now that one has steamrolled into what happened yesterday. It's almost like they're allowing that to happen. But they're not. If we would have beat, and I know ifs and buts were candies and nuts, but if we would have pulled out those one or two plays and beat LSU, we'd probably be undefeated right now.
Yeah, well, here you can't let, like so in golf, you can't let one bad shot ruin, or one bad hole ruin the next hole.
Right.
We used to say it all the time when I coached. I'd say, look, we can't let this one beat us two more times. You got to bounce back. You got to get back to work, that kind of thing. But this is my novice opinion. We have our own podcast for this very reason, so we can tell you what we think.
Right.
I think there is a leadership problem on the team. Clearly. All right. I mean, peer leadership.
Player leadership. Okay? Right. I'm with you.
I mean, like maybe Phil Maffa was an outstanding leader for a group of guys last year. Maybe, right. I do think there's something going on. I don't know what. But I watched the athletic director stand at the end zone when there was a TV timeout and there was a team huddle, and he watched intently what was going on in that huddle. Something is not right. Something. Now, if you want to talk X's and O's, we can talk X's and O's. Clemson outgained Syracuse. More first downs. Time of possession was equal. Rushing yards were slightly less. Passing yards were more. All right, I don't think our linebackers can tackle or are very fast. I don't think our D-line's playing up to their capabilities. To get pressure on the quarterback, we have to rush 7 or 8 and play man coverage, and and it's hard. I've said it before. The receiver knows where he's going.
And the cornerback does not.
The corner doesn't. That's why the top defensive backs get drafted so high in the NFL. because if you can lock down somebody, you're valuable.
Right.
And we just don't have that right now. The offense did. I mean, other than like there's some things they do. I'm not the coach, but there's some things they do that I don't quite understand. But then again, we're getting whooped up front on the offensive line too most of the time.
Most of the time. Yeah, we outgained them by about 100 yards. But the problem is, I guess we spotted them 10 points. So
yes, 10-0 before they even had Clemson even touched the football.
Yeah, so we spot them 10 points. So the offense, you think, well, they didn't do all that great. You expect them to do better, et cetera, et cetera. But honestly, I'm not going to lay this one at the feet of the offense for sure, because the defense, I'm paying a little more attention because they're not doing as well, and it's like they've lost fundamentals. I'm watching highlights, and you can see, defensive ends not keeping their shoulders square, not squeezing, and not, getting too far upfield, linebackers getting caught up in the mesh and just it's just like rushing with their head down instead of paying it with their eyes up and paying attention to what's going on.
Well,
with
when
the
they got
play.
their hands up, they've knocked down several passes.
Yeah, it's
and
like
that's the key. If they're gonna have to go get rid of it fast, get your hands up.
Yeah, it's like.
But you know what? I'm not the coach. But I tell you what, there's these old guys that sit at the top of right by the portal that are there till the end of every game. And one of them said, "We need a quarterback." When I was walking out yesterday, and I'm sitting there going, the dude just passed for 300 something yards. Like, yeah, I think he's better when they play faster. I really do.
But Cade made some comment about how when he felt like he was getting into a rhythm. And I don't know if he was accusing. It sounded like he was accusing Syracuse of faking.
There was some questionable cramping. There was some questionable cramping at the time where we started driving the ball.
Yeah,
multiple times.
But now, at the same time, the quarterback, and it doesn't always have to be the quarterback. You mentioned Maffa, but typically the quarterback is that peer leader, the player leader, and maybe that's what Cade's missing. We know he's got all the tools to be a good quarterback out on the field.
I hate to even mention this, but I have heard through the grapevine from people that would know he's not super well liked in the locker room.
Well, and there's all kind of stuff to talk about that. And, we have all talked since the whole paying to get played thing started, that especially the way these college kids, and this may have nothing to do with it, may have nothing to do with it, but we've all taught you these quarterbacks getting, $1.5-2 million a year, and they're in the locker room with offensive linemen getting 70 grand, 80 grand. And for us, I wish he would have got that when I was in college, whatever, but that's a huge discrepancy between one or two players on the big teams and the rest of the team. So how are they going to, I don't know,
I just don't understand why we can't just have a pay scale. Okay. Colleges and universities, NCAA, establish a pay scale. You can put players in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, whatever you want to do, but just make it a flat number so everybody is on equal footing. And forget this is teams. I hate the fact that teams can go out and buy players.
Yeah, it's the Wild West still. They thought they were reining it in. They have some parameters now, but it's really not that. And we could talk about that forever, but
I don't want to talk about it.
What we would want to do, but we'll end with our speaking of talking about stuff. How do you feel, Bailey, about Dabo's comments? Need I say rant last week at the press conferences, and then we turn around and get beat by Syracuse?
I'm not gonna. Dabo is Clemson, and Dabo's the coach as long as Dabo wants to be the coach, and he's my coach.
Yeah,
I was all in when he got hired. I'm still all in because all those buildings around there, all that stuff around there, the national spotlight, and the reason people are talking about it is because of Dabo.
Because of Dabo,
right?
I just think that's his personality.
It certainly is. He's going to tell you how he feels. He's gonna get teary-eyed when we lost another game when they play the alma mater.
Yeah.
Because he's disappointed.
He's passionate.
Right.
He's passionate.
I've been there, done that.
Yeah.
And they, college coaches work. My wife even asked me on the way home. It was like we were on the road. It was like 9:00. She said, "What do you think Dabo's doing right now?" I said, "He's probably watching film."
He's watching film.
And if they're lucky, the coach has got to go home.
Yeah.
But if not, they'll be back in the morning, bright and early. And this is a week I wouldn't want to be there.
They
have no game. The players are going to hate this week.
In case there's any question, the official stance of the Fun Fans podcast is we are Team Dabo for sure.
Right. Why would we not be?
Yeah, all those comments and people get carried away with stuff. That's part of his passion, and that's what makes him special. Honestly, so he's as far as we're concerned, he's here until he don't want to be anymore. But now players, I'm just going to point this out. We got beat by a team who, was it 2 weeks ago? Everybody was talking about how their coach was making them run sprints after the game. And,
well, they weren't. I mean, what were they, sprints, or was it just look, that's what coaches do. They weren't running gassers. They were running 20-yard sprints.
So those guys, though, we've said it since the LSU game. The other team is the team playing with a little fire under their tail.
Correct, because everybody wants to hit Clemson in the mouth when they're down.
That's right.
And I don't blame them. Why would you not?
We're still everybody's Super Bowl in the ACC, so that's for sure. All right, so we'll save part of the next segment for the next show since we're kind of running out of time. Bailey's already talked a little bit about Notre Dame.
I will say this: I had to go back to I've never lost a tailgate sweatshirt because of the losing streak. I'm going to look up the last time Clemson was 1-3.
It's 2004 or something like that, I believe.
Yeah,
it's already been posted up there. But and not to, we talk about our friends in Columbia every week, win or lose, and bless their hearts, they're not in a much better position. And I don't know if there's any sound to this, and if you're doing audio only, but this Missouri player, it's unreal. Watch this, Bailey. All right. This is the biggest flop. That was so.
Yeah, see, I think that's Bush League. If I'm coaching him, I'm jerking him out and yelling at him because that's Bush League.
100%. That was so.
Play the game the way it's supposed to be played, no matter what game you play.
We will. I hope the Gamecock fans will use that as a highlight for the game, and maybe we'll both get it back on the straight and narrow before we have to play each other at the end of the season. So, all right. Speaking of moving on,
kick off any earlier.
No.
10:30.
Right. But like Bailey said, next week is an open for Clemson. But from a fan standpoint, there's some pretty big matchups coming up Saturday. I look forward to watching some college football, maybe at Rubens. If not at Rubens, probably after I've picked up some wings from Rubens. And speaking of next Sunday, this is kind of ironic. We're going to have a special guest. We hadn't had a guest on the show in a while, but we're going to have Neil Schwartz, who is president of SBR Net Incorporated. He's the leading voice in sports business and fan analytics, with over 25 years experience in tracking how fans engage with teams, leagues, and brands. As president of SBR Net Incorporated, he heads the sports marketing analytics platform, a go-to resource for universities, teams, and brands seeking insight into sports fandom, consumer behavior, gambling trends, licensed merchandise sales, and sponsorship opportunities. So that's right up our alley, Bailey. It's almost like there's a podcast for that. Mm-hmm. Yep. So we look forward to having him on next Sunday, and he's a Syracuse guy. Go figure. Who knew?
Good timing, James. Getting Syracuse.
Yeah, I couldn't get. I was going to try to get him on tonight. He was busy tonight, so I don't know if that would have been better or worse. But anyway, hope you enjoyed the show. We are knocking out the tailgates, and they're being checked off the list one at a time.
One more thing. Speaking of guests, former two-time Fun Fans podcast guest Jalen Lane from Clover, South Carolina, 90-yard touchdown punt return for a touchdown today for the Commanders. Super proud of Jalen, and it's just so cool to see him doing his thing in the NFL.
For sure. Keep up the good work, Jalen. Thanks again for checking us out. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fans Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on social media, and please share. Reach out to become a sponsor on behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, J Thriller Entertainment, Greenville Sports Media, and Bailey Jackson.
Don't put the bags on your heads yet, Tiger fans. We got plenty of time left. Go Tigers.
Thanks for listening.